Hello, everybody, and welcome to the continuation of this little mini series on basically why you should never talk about certain things in a group of friends and families. And today we are on number 8, 9, and 10. Number 8 is climate change. Well, within the illusion, you would instantly think, oh, you're so done hearing about El Nino. You're so done hearing about how the beef of the world is affecting the, ozone layer, how factories, how power plants and everything are affecting, our environment. Well, I understand that. And whether you have an opinion one way or another, that's one thing. But I do recommend that you talk to your friends and your family about the climate change, and not just about the climate change from a perspective of the ozone layer or from El Nino or from how humans are affecting it. But I'm talking from a geological perspective. Look at the amount of earthquakes that are taking place. Look at the volcanoes that are erupting. Look at the icebergs that are breaking away. Look at the increase in sea level. And now look at it compared over the last 20 years, how it's growing exponentially. Then allow yourself to look at what's happening out in the galaxy. Look at different things that are happening with solar flares considering the sun. And in regards to that, fun little trivia, the center of the Earth is considered 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Ironically, that's approximately what the surface of the sun is considered. So we all need to start thinking on a deeper level. We all need to start thinking from a positive perspective when it is in regards to the climate change. Now you might think, how can you think from a positive perspective, when negative things are happening? But the question is, are they really negative things that are happening? This is a cycle that the earth ends up taking care of itself. I read recently about these polymer rocks that are starting to show up all over the place, which is basically where plastic is kind of fusing itself to rocks. And, geologists are concerned about it. We also have in the middle of the ocean these foam islands, if you will, or plastic islands that are developing. But from a conscious perspective and taking the self arrogance, if you will, by thinking that we can actually change the environment of the earth, and realize that these polymer rocks, if we're going to think of it positively, will end up eventually finding themselves either in the surface of the earth or to the bottom of the sea floor, if you will. And they will eventually work themselves into the ground. In essence, we have petroleum returning, and this is petroleum that has been purified. Now, granted, you can say, oh, well, that's going to take millions and millions of years. Well, from a conscious perspective, you'll think, what is time? If you go to a time zone border and you jump back and forth across the time zone, you're not time traveling. If an astronaut leaves Earth and goes to the space station for a month, look up how long he's been gone, or she has been gone in our perception. Time does not exist except in your perception. The only time that exists is the here and now. So, when you talk with family about climate change, talk from a positive perspective. Don't look at the drama, don't look at the negative. Look at the positive that could come from being prepared for what potentially is going to happen with the earth. Have a loving backup plan with your family and friends. if there's a major earthquake, if there's major, catastrophe of any sort? How are you going to respond? How are you going to take care of each other instead of obsessing about the negative? And if you find that somebody is getting heated or somebody's getting bothered what you're saying, then just stop. And stop the conversation and just look at them and say, hey, the only reason why I'm wanting to talk about this is because I love you. And in the event that there is a major catastrophic event, I want us to have a plan in place. Then watch how quickly the fire gets put out. Number 9, someone's tattoos. Well, I've been a successful tattoo artist, and I have a ton of tattoos myself. I see that the camera is kind of having a difficult time keeping up, but bear with me. Those of you that have been following, you know that, hey, I'm branching out using technology, and those of you who are new, please bear with me, because I assure you that it'll be for your benefit. But back to number 9, someone's tattoos. Well, think, why should we not, from an illusion perspective, why should we not talk about someone's tattoos? Well, if you're going to talk negatively, you shouldn't. Haven't you ever heard the saying, if you can't say something good, don't say anything at all? Now, you might think, well, if you're a parent and you're wanting to talk to your children about their tattoos because you disagree with what they're doing, because it might prevent them from getting a job, it might make them appear one way or another to someone else. Well, parents, realize you probably have a lot to do with why they got the tattoos. People get tattoos because their brains do not want to be who they are anymore. Something inside them wants the world to know that they're hurting, or wants the world to know that they have a voice. As a tattoo artist, I had did so many tattoos where young women or men would get tattooed on themselves where it would say, I am enough, or something motivational or inspirational for themselves. I even had one client that had me do tattoos that were covering up self-harm scars. And as I'm tattooing away on him, he stops me and he says, hey, actually, wouldn't tattoos be a form of self-harm? And I stopped for a second and I looked down and I said, yeah, actually, they would be. So before you choose to comment negatively on someone's tattoos, stop and think. That's part of them. If you're a parent and you disapprove, it's too late. If it's a loved one and you don't like what they have, ask them in the future if they're going to get something else to please include you, because you're the one that sees it the most. But ultimately realize, if it's your loved one, love them for who they are. Don't love them for your perception of what you feel they should be. Obviously, having a tremendous amount of tattoos. The top of my head is fully tattooed. And now I did that, because I thought I was doing it for my clients, because they were the ones that always saw the top of my head. But now when I look back at all my tattoos all over my body, now that I'm fully conscious, I realize that they had way deeper meaning than I ever could have imagined. I didn't even realize it at the time. I thought I was just practicing as a tattoo artist. The pain that I was feeling at the time. And I'm not talking the physical pain. I'm talking emotional pain. the questions that I had, the religious questions, the spiritual questions, the questions of why doesn't anybody respect a veteran's dedication? So wanting to like put a badge of pride on myself so that the world would recognize the dedication that I'd given. But when I look back, I recognize that that was all my pain that I was actually putting on my skin. This is why we choose to put certain things on our skin. Granted, we might choose immature things to put on our body. The truth is, that also reflects where they are internally, whether they are conscious, whether or not they are realizing they're becoming one with their inner self, or it expresses that, hey, they have low stress, they have a very happy life, they're, one who tends to make other people happy. And if that is what it is, then accept it and love them for who they are and don't judge them. Because if you remember, none of us have the right to judge. And then we get to number 10. Revealing that they made you feel upset in the past. Well, if you look how I wrote it, revealing that they made you feel upset in the past. The first thing I would like you to recognize is in the illusion, yes, you feel that somebody upset you. But once you gain your consciousness, once you become centered, once you become one with your God, if you will, you realize that nobody made you do anything. You choose to perceive every single thing that happens in life from either a positive or a negative perspective. Now, if they did something that upset you, first off, stop and think of why. Find the positive within that they might have done that actually is good for you to know. Maybe you are actually doing something towards them that you're not even aware of. Or maybe you might find that there are subjects that you need to just agree to disagree on. But all of these, when it comes back to, if you are thinking out of love, if you are only speaking positive, because truly, if you're loving, there only is positive, there is no negative, then why would you be offensive to a friend or family? Unless you're truly feeling sorry for yourself and disregarding their feelings and voicing your opinion. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.